Now it is my pleasure to introduce today's commencement speaker, Mr. Kevin Gover. We are honored to have him with us today. Mr. Gover is the director of the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of the American Indian and a citizen of the Pawnee Tribe of Oklahoma. He began as director in December 2007. He attended Princeton University, receiving his bachelor's degree in Public and International Affairs from the Woodrow Wilson School at Princeton in 1978. He then attended the University of New Mexico College of Law and received his Juris Doctorate degree in 1981. Following law school, Kevin established a small Native American-owned law firm that specialized in federal Indian law. Gover, Stetson, Williams, and West, PC, grew into the largest Indian-owned law firm in the country and represented tribes and tribal agencies in a dozen states. In 1997, Mr. Gover was nominated by President Clinton to serve as the Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs in the United States Department of the Interior. As the senior executive of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, he won praise for his efforts to rebuild long-neglected Indian schools and expand tribal and BIA police forces throughout the country. In 2003, he joined the faculty at the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law at Arizona State University and served on the faculty of the university's Indian Legal Program, one of the largest such in the country. It is my honor to present to you our speaker, Kevin Gover.
All right. Man, what a good-looking group. I'm talking about the folks in the bleachers, actually. Dr. Thomas, distinguished trustees, distinguished faculty and staff, families, friends, members of the class of 2017. I thank you for the honor of saying a few words on your special day. I ask for your sympathy as well. These speeches are the most difficult to give because I don't know you, you've certainly never heard of me, and yet I am the only thing standing between you and your degree. So bear with me. I will try to keep it short. One of the great things about working at a museum is no one seems to mind if you disappear down a rabbit hole occasionally. So when I was working on when I was asked to be your graduation speaker, I thought I should learn a little something about your college and its history. Now, I have been here before, and I do have a granddaughter who has already set her sights on being a member of the Fort Lewis College class of 2020-something. But it occurred to me that I did not know who Fort Lewis is named for. So down the rabbit hole I went. I sort of assumed it would be someone I'd heard of before, like Captain Meriwether Lewis of Lewis and Clark fame. But no, turns out the original Fort Lewis was named for William H. Lewis. He was an Alabaman, a West Pointer, and a colonel in the Union Army during the Civil War and thereafter. Bear with me if you already knew all this. Colonel Lewis fought for the Union in New Mexico against Texan Confederate forces at the Battle of Glorieta Pass and earned a citation for his conduct at the Battle of Peralta. The Union Army, interestingly, included a battalion of Colorado volunteers led by a Colonel John Shevington. 2.5 years after Glorieta Pass, Shevington would earn infamy for leading Colorado militia at the Sand Creek Massacre. Colonel Lewis, meanwhile, survived the Civil War, and in 1878 led a regiment that was assigned to pursue and capture a group of Cheyennes who had escaped from their reservation in Oklahoma in hopes of living instead with their Sioux allies to the north. Colonel Lewis's forces were successful in their mission, but Lewis himself died of wounds he received in an engagement with the Cheyennes. Now, there is no great biography of William Lewis, and near as I can tell, he never published a memoir. But we can conclude that he led a life of duty, service, and sacrifice. And unlike any of us here, he had both an army fort and a college named after him, and that ain't bad. So speaking of meritorious service, I arrived in Durango a day early so I could meet yesterday with citizens of the Southern Ute and Mountain Ute tribes who are veterans of the Armed Forces of the United States. Our museum has been tasked by Congress with building a national Native American Veterans Memorial. In doing our research on this project, we've learned that 140,000 veterans, living veterans, identify themselves as American Indian and Alaska Natives. Natives in the 20th century served in greater numbers per capita than any other ethnic group. 44,000, for example, served in World War II, out of a total population of only 330,000, which means it was an extraordinary percentage of young Native men who served during World War II. Now, spending a lot of time with Native Americans across the country, Native American veterans across the country, has led me to ponder deeply my good fortune in being an American. Because the fact is, I did nothing to earn the privilege. Like most of us here, I'm an American because I happen to be born here. The rights and privileges I enjoy were earned for me by others. The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, and the right to petition the government for the redress of grievances, the right to bear arms. These roll off our tongues like the lyrics of a well-known song. We all know our rights. We talk about our rights. We demand our rights. But we don't talk so much about our responsibilities, do we? We've taken pains to codify our rights, to make lists of them. But why haven't we codified our responsibilities? If you search for an official list of the responsibilities of citizenship in the United States, you find the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services website. Here are some of the responsibilities listed there. To stay informed of the issues affecting your community, to participate in the democratic process, to respect and obey federal, state, and local laws, to respect the rights, beliefs, and opinions of others, to participate in your local community, to pay income and other taxes honestly and on time to federal, state, and local authorities. Sorry about that one. To serve on a jury when called upon, to defend the country if the need should arise. Why aren't we expected to memorize these, as we have our list of rights? You know, every immigrant who seeks American citizenship is expected to know these responsibilities. And here is a troubling fact. On average, those who apply for and receive American citizenship know more about our country, its government, its laws, and its history than those of us born American. I was born during the presidency of Dwight Eisenhower. I'll let you do the math. The first president I remember, though, was John Kennedy, who famously urged us to ask not what our country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Next month will mark the 100th anniversary of the birth of our 35th president. President Kennedy also spoke of a new frontier, but the new frontier was not a bunch of promises. It was a set of challenges. He told us then that the new frontier, quote, holds out the promise of more sacrifice instead of more security, close quote. As part of the World War II generation, President Kennedy knew that the United States was and would continue to be the indispensable nation, a force for good without which the world could not prosper. We don't always get it right, but we remain indispensable. If you doubt that, imagine for a moment how different and worse the world would be if Nazi Germany, Imperial Japan, or the Soviet Union had emerged as the world's only superpower. Now, you graduates are what the demographers are calling the millennials. Kind of good name, it's better than boomer. Consider this. In 2015, the number of voting age millennials surpassed the number of baby boomers. However, more boomers cast ballots in last year's election. Whether you approve or disapprove of our nation's political condition, it is now your generation's responsibility. We are living President Kennedy's new frontier, and your generation will soon be in charge. With that power comes the great responsibility of sustaining this indispensable nation. That is your inheritance, just as surely as all the rights and privileges that come with being an American. You have a responsibility to and for your community, your country, and the world. John Kennedy spoke of a long twilight struggle against the common enemies of man: tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. These enemies persist. It will soon be your turn to take the reins in the twilight struggle. It is your turn to make your communities, the United States, and the world more just, more peaceful, more inclusive, to preserve this earth and its extraordinary bounty for future generations. Bernard Shaw wrote, "This is the true joy in life, the being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one, the being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy." Shaw went on, "I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can." Now, this is an ideal, and one that many would say Shaw himself failed to meet. I would certainly say so. But I believe we should accept wisdom where we find it. We are all, after all, imperfect messengers of the truth. You have the great privilege of being Americans. I do hope that you will live lives of service and strive to make our union more perfect. And here's something important that I hope you know. We believe in you. We're counting on you to make a better world. We wish you the best. Congratulations and Godspeed.